This is the joint parts B and C of the Khoodeelaar television channel, broadcasting on the internet, and this one is the son, Rupert Murdoch's scum. Rupert Murdoch's scum giving a two-page, boastful, lying spread attributing it to the evilness, the Nazi racist, criminal warmonger, genocidist Trevor Kavanagh. Trevor the shit Kavanagh is a direct extension of the dirty digger Murdoch, who did and is doing so much bad against society, against ethics, against morality, and of course against the truth. Trevor the evilness is boasting in the scum on Wednesday, the 10th of July 2024. My front row seat to history? Fuck off. He has been the supporter of genocides, mass murders, and complete and utter incitement, provocation, hatred, racism. And the features that are highlighted are mainly images of the evilness set opposite George W. Bush. George W. Bush was the one that was greeted by a journalist in Iraq who threw a shoe at him at the end of the so-called occupation and war against Iraq and Afghanistan. And there are pictures in the cartoon. There are faces of the collected evilnesses of British and American murderers of innocent people in the Middle East and elsewhere in the world. Trevor Evilness Kavanagh is notorious as a liar, as a provocateur, and he has no right, he has no basis, no fact, no evidence, no substance to go anywhere near claiming that he had a front row seat to history. The only seat he has had is a stooge, as a propagandist for mass murderers, racists, criminals. In the 15 years that they're celebrating, as he's retiring from the particular scum, how many people, even in Britain, how many millions of people in Britain have starved because of the policies that he has supported? And it extrapolates to hundreds of millions of people being massacred, starved, famished, attacked, violated in Africa and Asia. As we said in the previous edition, today, Wednesday, the 10th of July 2024, the result of the election held on the 4th of July 2024 has not produced any declaration anywhere near a declaration recognizing the lack of access to remedies through the judicial process in the United Kingdom. For most of the millions of micro decisions that are made by local councils, by regional assemblies, regional states, that keep millions of people denied of fairness and remedies. And this is bound to continue to pile up, rise, increase. Similarly, there is no accountability in sight whatsoever. Accountability to the people, to the communities, to the demographies, to the electors, to the voters, by the decision makers in local councils, in the local courts, in the High Court, in the Supreme Court, etc., etc. There is, of course, specifically nothing in sight to make agencies like the depraved DEFRA accountable for lying, for targeting innocent, perfectly healthy alpacas like baby angel Geronimo. And of course, there is nothing, as we said, in sight to make the criminals responsible for the grooming and for the sexual exploitation, for the prostitution of the children, the four girls that actually were reported for the first time to have been groomed into flying and going, traveling to Syria from Bethnal Green and Tower Hamlets. And the Tower Hamlets Council, which has owed safeguarding children duties to these children, is not mentioned in anything about any report or any commentary about the council by the mainstream or any local other versions. For example, after the Hamas incident in Israel in October 2023, there was a genocidist retaliation by the Netanyahu-fronted Israeli Zionist state that has now massacred anything up to 50,000 or more Palestinians, including thousands of children, thousands of elderly, thousands of women. Andrew Pierce in the Daily Mail, which is Zionist, genocidist, anti-Muslim, racist, overhyped the potential of an Aspire party slate of candidates that was, according to Andrew Pierce in the Daily Mail, going to upset the electoral prospects of the Labour Party when an election was going to be called. Not a chance, because the Aspire party is a complete fraud. It's a complete, absolute fantasy. And the fact that they say that he's a supporter, or he has been supported by Islamists, is a fantasy as well. It's a lie. the whole operation called the East London Mosque, the East London Muslim Center, or the London Muslim Center, is a fraud against Muslims, against the truth. It's an operation, it's a front for the UK state against the Muslim community, both in the United Kingdom and by extrapolation, by projection against the idea of Muslims in Western communities, in Western societies, including in France. One of the candidates for the newly created constituency of Bethnal Green and Stepney was named as Rabina Khan. Rabina Khan was in post, paid lots of money in the name of her doing chairing or cabinet, holding the cabinet post in the so-called Lutfur Umar cabinet at the expense of housing. Rabina Khan came a distant third after Ajmal Masroor, who was an independent candidate in Bethnal Green and Stepney. And there is no sign of any aspire candidate, which means that despite Andrew Pierce in the Daily Mail promoting the idea that Lutfur Umar is going to take away a seat or seats from the Labour Party, the Aspire Party didn't even put up a candidate. So tactically, what they were doing was propping up Rabina Khan, although she was not a member of Aspire Party, but they were effectively supporting the Liberal Democrat, because Liberal Democrats were idiotic enough to put forward Rabina Khan as a candidate. And she has proven to be useless. As she was completely useless and dishonest while she was holding the post of cabinet member at the expense of housing in the so-called cabinet of Lutfur Ahmad in Tower Hamlets Council. So we shall be looking at all of these in detail in due course, and we shall examine the boasts by Trevor Kavanagh himself, and also as part of the boasts that the Dirty Digger Murdoch is running for Trevor Kavanagh, by George Pascoe Watson, who was Trevor Kavanagh's deputy. The Sun remains banned, literally banned, in Merseyside, in the Liverpool area, because of its lying against the victims of the massacre in Hillsborough more than 30 years ago. So there is no question whatsoever that evilness Trevor Kavanagh was remotely even relevant as an original journalist. He's a propagandist for Satan and evil and hatred, has been so, and has been repeatedly found to have lied, repeatedly found to have violated the codes of journalism, etc., etc.